Hey, it's your goth, Oliver. Hi. And I always like to assume that these will have a title. So I feel like you're reading the title somewhere and it says something like comedy, talking about comedy, comedy criticisms, comedy this, that. So let's get into that world a little bit, where a lot of you know me as a stand up comedian, and this isn't exactly what most stand-up comedians look like. So there's a lot to talk about with this. So first of all, we have a day and age that is really pushed by algorithms and sort of like as in the click, or like as in similar videos get shown to you based on what is doing well and being seen and watched by people. And there's a certain way that gets shared. Like, for example, if you were watching a lot of videos on Dice, it would show you more of this imagery, because this imagery of the cube with the dots, like, that's imagery that an algorithm can go, this person, your user 28 really likes this stuff. Watch user 28 watches this stuff. Show them more of this stuff. So then, before you know it, you're going to have other Dice videos, maybe things with similar dialogue, maybe videos with other similar comparisons. Like, oh, look, that's a die. That's a die to die for. So with comedy, it's the same way. That there's a certain voice, there's a certain way it's filmed and shot, and there's certain faces, there's certain reactions, and I very purposefully do not do those things. So it's a little difficult. That I know I will not sort of get those pushes through the algorithms. I'm not getting the good recordings that a lot of people are getting. But besides that, I don't laugh at my own jokes. I don't smile on stage. I don't have a voice or look, a style. I don't do like storytelling jokes. I do a lot of one-liners. There's so much working against me. And that's sort of the computer, like, digital side. Like, that's a side I don't think anyone really has control over. I mean, if someone had a big following, they could post my video and that would probably help me out, but that might ruin their sort of, I don't know what you call it, your content, the sort of bank and pool. Like, when you do things outside of what you normally do, a lot of apps, companies, they don't like that. Like, when you're a YouTube video, or not YouTube, a YouTube channel, when you're a channel and you do videos on Dice, let's say you're the Dice master, and then out of nowhere you're like, well, now I'm going to do this video on dead birds I found outside. Like, well, I have 500,000 followers over the Dice, so I get to tag Dice in this video. Because technically, it's going to ruin my sort of algorithms. Like, they want you to make a whole new, like, channel when you do stuff like that. So people if they were to share me, it's a gamble. And so I get that. I get that I am outside of these things. That's on purpose. I'm not upset with it. I've been really coming to terms with that more and more. I get to do things that other comedians really won't be able to do, or at least not too often. I got to host a goth festival in Arizona. That was really cool. I don't feel like they're going to be asking too many people to, do that outside of me and a few other people maybe. But I also don't really get to do a lot of stuff inside the world of comedy. So I get, rejections quite a bit, and people are like, who cares what they think? You don't need to worry about them. Well, they are often people that have opportunities that are paid gigs, so I do kind of care what they think, but also I don't want to change what they do. It puts me in this very awkward position of I don't want to be in the box. Like, what's that mean too? Like a regular style comedian, like all the other comedians you might see on AGT. Like, those comedians are more inside the box. I'm outside the box. And there's things that I can get away with outside of the box, and there's things that I probably shouldn't do. You can't do stand-up with the microphone really far away. You can't do stand-up with the microphone really far away. That's what I just said. So there's things you have to do correctly. So I got a rejection. We're gonna read some of them. It's quite a bit. All right. I'd like to. I want you guys to know when I'm reading from the phone. So I think, where should I put it? Should I put it over here? So when I'm looking this way, I'll turn back to you guys. So yeah, this judge says my opening, which is I often open. I'll walk out and I'll go hi. And sometimes people will respond. Sometimes it's one person. So I said, that's usually how I open. I'll go hi. And one person responded, and I said, so one polite person. So this judge says, the opening line gets a good laugh, but it's not the best start to a submission tape. Okay. So don't send something that gets a good laugh. It's conflicting there. And they said I didn't let the laugh sit for an appropriate amount of time. That's actually possibly a good note. I'll have to look at that one again. And they don't like my arms crossed. So they are not into that. They're worried I might overdo Mr. X, which is true. It's a fair. And here's the part. I should have read this beforehand. And like pulled the notes instead of like got the whole thing in front of me. I'm figuring this out as I go. Okay. Your pacing when telling a joke is great, but there are some moments of too much silence before starting your next joke. The laughter has died down, and you sit that moment just a little too long. That's, like I'm there's things I'm like, yeah, okay, there's things I'll watch the video and review. I'm like, but that one I'm like, that's so on purpose. That's so 100%. So that's hard. That's hard to hear that. Here's another judge, another one. Your body posture comes off as lacking confidence in your material, but that doesn't match your performance and delivery. I'll give that might not match my delivery, because I definitely want to have something resembling confidence when I'm delivering jokes. But if I look as if I'm lacking confidence in my performance, that's on purpose. So this is putting me in an awkward place. They say some jokes are overwritten. That's, again, I'll have to look at the specific. I wish they said specific ones. But that's a possibility. I do like to shorten my jokes and try not to have superfluous words, but I also do sometimes try to lengthen them to get another beat in there to sort of jumpstart the punchline. So that depends on the joke. But they also said there's a lot of dead air between jokes. I'm like, I love dead air. That is on purpose. So here's the thing where this one of the first jokes I did in this set that they watched is I talk about being on AGT, and I did that because there was a lot of people from my hometown, the video I was in. So I thought it was important to talk about that right away, and they said you should talk about your look right away, like the way I look. So they said, when they look up normal, it should be addressed because it's distracting to them. So it's like this, that put me in an awkward place of the video I sent, who I felt was pretty good, and they're not wrong to send that note, but at the same time, I took the time to address something else first. So it's like that's a judgment call. Yeah, they pick up the pace in some areas. Like, I think you don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm building tension on purpose. They said it was obvious when you were about to say a punchline. Like, it's kind of on purpose. Again, there's things I think, like, I guess I could explore that. I could explore telling punchlines as if they're not punchlines, but I've done this for so long that I basically just know that I can't get away with saying something not, like, you're kind of supposed to say things as if it's a punchline to the center of the room. That's kind of how you're supposed to do punchlines. So it's like, what am I supposed to do then? And which maybe I could get away with it. Maybe I could say something as if it's not a punchline to the side of the room and see if that gets a laugh. Like, start doing this a little bit more wrong in that area. But I'm like, how else am I, there's that has always felt like one of those things. Like, I better get that right. Otherwise people won't, necessarily laugh. That's one. I appreciate your persona. Okay, yeah. They don't. This person also doesn't like my body language. That crossing my arms projects a lack of conviction, whether intended or not. So at least this one, they're saying whether intended or not. They're admitting that possibly I do intend that. I do intend to have an inwardness to me. So, and they also think I took too long to address the way I look. They said it took me 2 minutes in a 5-minute video. So, but again, yeah, that is a thing that's like, I need to address some other things right away. If people know me from AGT, I guess that could come later, but anyway, those are all the people that didn't like me. So let's get to the sort of the reason I was making this video. The one judge said, my only suggestion in my your material is to try to play around with the order. So a lot of them thought the order should be changed. And this one said, the one polite person bit is a brilliant opener. Leave it. Whose advice do I take? They also said recommend look earlier, which again, normally in any other video submission, but I didn't like those one as much, I do address my look top of my set. So he's like, yeah, I get you want to build up the awkwardness by withholding the elephant in the room, which is true. So that's obviously a thing that they think I should do, and that's still, I guess AGT is probably really only in my hometown where the video was recorded. Like, it's probably notable. And then he says, they shouldn't say, I don't know, male or female. As for your stage presence, I see you do a lot of things I would ordinarily suggest comics not do. Like long pauses, cross arms, shuffle in place. That would make them come off as nervous or stiff. But in your case, it only enhances the experience, in my opinion. So they say, the 3 metrics they grade on, blah, blah, blah. He's like, yours is one of those performances that the more I think about, the more I want to give you a higher score because I noticed something new I like about it. Well done. So 4 out of 5 judges didn't like me and didn't get it to the degree that person did. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, those 4 judges are stupid. They watch comedy all day, we're grading people, whatever. But at the same time, how much more can I do to try to make what I do work? And is it just going to be a thing where people just aren't going to be in on it? Like, how do I do this more? How do I do this wrong in the right way, right in the wrong way. And I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have the answer to these things. But it's very nice that someone out of all those judges was like, if people know me from AGT, Simon Cowell just basically saying, when I think of comedians, they all blur except you. You're different. It's so part of how I want to do things, how I like to do anti-humor, meta-humor, how I want to have silence. I think there's something very powerful about owning and taking that silence on stage, that so many comedians are afraid of it. I'm like, why would you not let it go quiet if you could let it go quiet? You're in control of that. So that's a very hard thing for me. There's things in there that I'm going to go through and be like, okay, let me look at that. Let me look at this. Like what can be trimmed? What can, like, some of the other points and notes? But that one I'm like, why are we afraid of this as comedians? Why is it a bad thing when you're up there, and you actually have the audience? That silence isn't something to be like, oh, I'm bombing, or oh, I shouldn't do this. I should talk more. I should talk over the silence. Why? So I don't know how to feel about that. Rather than, should I just constantly be segueing into new jokes, new material? I'm like, I don't think I should. Like, every instinct I have in me as far as how long I've been doing this, how long I've been doing it like this. But I don't want my inside perspective to sort of be a bias towards an outside perspective. So I want audiences to like me. I want everyone I get in front of to like me. But then again, these are also comedy judges. So I'm like, what's, what are they looking for the box? Because people who go to shows and our audiences aren't necessarily looking for the box. And if they come to see me, they definitely aren't. So it puts me in this place of, what do I do? Do I try to fit into the box more to appease people that could possibly hire me? Or do I just keep doing what I'm doing, which isn't really taking me anywhere? I don't know. I don't have answers to these questions. I just have stuff to think about.